So let's talk about crying. We all know that crying is tears running down our face or our eyes just feeling like they're popping out of our head with emotion. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes we need tissues. Sometimes when other people are doing it, we start doing it too. But I was at a community event last night. It's called a satsang, which is in the Hindu tradition. It's the name of a community of spiritual seekers, practitioners, confidants that all meet together and have a discussion, share, maybe chant, maybe just be in the spirit or be in presence together. And so throughout the conversation, there was at one point where there was a discussion about one entity called the Queen of Tears. I can't remember what her Sanskrit name is, but she's basically a form of the goddess, a form of the divine that is the Queen of Tears, that basically you pray to or you get in touch with or you align with in relation to your crying, whether it's because you don't want to cry or because you need to cry or kind of anything related to tears falling down your face. And one person talked about how much that meant to them because they felt like crying is something that is so often judged, particularly from inside. Maybe there's a stigma around it. Maybe it feels like something's wrong if we're crying, and talked about all these great ways of understanding it. Like we cry when we're laughing, we cry when we're happy, we cry when we're sad, but we cry for all sorts of reasons. And I've talked about this a little bit in videos that I posted online where you cry when you're working hard on something. Like in Naruto, there's the characters Rock Lee or Naruto himself or plenty of other people who will cry in the middle of their training because it matters so much to them. And so we can see that there are so many different ways to cry, right? There are so many different reasons to cry. But then at one point, the person who was leading the satsang circle was giving what's called like a Dharma talk. That's a Buddhist term, but it's basically where one person will lecture a bit because they prepare something ahead of time. And then it gives everyone opportunity to let it mull over and see what it means to them. And so one part that he was talking about was the deity Vishnu, which is the eternal dreamer of the universe. In some ways, some people might think of this as the part of God that did the Genesis part, that did the breathing life into the universe. So if you think of the Big Bang as an out breath, that's Vishnu's out breath, right? So Vishnu is outside of time, lying down, just breathing in and breathing out. And Vishnu's kind of floating there in this oceanic sort of void of energy, you might say. And words fail us at a certain point, of course. Vishnu is sweating out the universe through those in breaths and out breaths. And as that sweat happens naturally, just like the breath happens naturally, that ocean is sort of made. It's needed, the sweating and the breathing and the lying there and just the natural dreaming in that state that Vishnu's in is natural as far as making our universe possible. Once that person started talking about crying, I was like, huh, when I cry, there's a part of me that doesn't feel happy or sad or joyful or in grief or something's funny, but there's something before that. There's something like primordial before that. And when our leader was talking about Vishnu's sweat, and then the other person was talking about crying, I was like, huh, you know, before any of my feelings come up, any of my stories about what the crying is for, I just feel like I'm sweating through my eyes. And I feel like we've heard that, right? Like the idea that we're sweating through our eyes. And I started to think about it and I was like, maybe it's my soul that is sweating through my eyes. And so when I'm crying, for whatever reason I'm crying about, it doesn't really matter. The soul is actually sweating. The soul sweats first, and then that comes out as crying. And so I think about it like this, if we have a workout and we sweat after the workout and someone saw us sweating, they might have all these stories about why we're sweating. They might say, oh, he gets hot really easily, or oh, she just had a really great run workout, or this person just did a hit workout and now they're sweating. Their body just runs warm, or something like that. Or maybe it's too hot in that room. There are all these stories for why we might sweat. But when we understand it, it's just like, well, we're just sweating because it's a natural experience that the body goes through. And if we think about from the soul's perspective, crying in the human body is a natural expression of the soul going through a workout, you know? And so when I feel like intense emotion of any kind and I start to cry, that intense emotion is because my soul is processing karma. And one way to understand karma beyond the idea of what goes around comes around, which is not incorrect, but karma is the predicament, it's the conditioning, it's the aspects of one's human life that compound on lifetimes. And the process of awakening or enlightenment is letting go of that karma. It doesn't mean that the karma is gone per se. If you're running through some dishes through a dishwasher, once those dishes start running, the cleaning is happening, the awakening is happening, but it does take some time for it to be totally purified and cleaned off and whatever wording you want to use. But in any case, that karma that the soul is working through using the human existence, the human incarnation, it feels like when it's crying, when a human is crying, when I cry, my soul is going through some good karmic working out. And it's like, getting that cardio in and really working through the karma. This is such a natural thing. We're just letting it out. We're sweating. And so this morning, it was really early. I got up at like 4:30 in the morning this morning. This was the earliest in a while. And I stayed up and I listened to this long chant that honors a deity in the Hindu tradition that I've really taken to because of the lineage of people that I have learned from or who are my gurus. And that's Ram Dass and his lineage, his guru. They all were really devoted to the deity Hanuman, which is the deity of service. He's like the service of service. He's all about that devotion overall, and bhakti, which bhakti is that devotional practice of spirituality. And it doesn't mean it's exclusive, but it's sort of like that's the focus. It's like, let's devote ourselves to something that matters and devote ourselves to the service and to being as loving and compassionate as we can to other people. I listened to this chant that's this epic 40-verse song called the Hanuman Chalisa. It's like a 10-minute thing. And I had heard it before, but I kind of like was like, this is a lot for me to listen to. Like when I listen to chants, I want to memorize it. I want to really take it in. And I listened, and about 10 seconds in, I heard the instruments and I just heard the singer Krishna Das start to sing it. And I was like, oh shit. And it was like a dam broke. And I just was pouring out with tears. It was just pouring and pouring. I dropped to my knees. I was singing along. I don't really even know the words that much, but certain words were just coming out of me, especially the chorus, the kind of catchy chorus that they have. After all that last night, when I had that feeling of the soul sweating, I was like, damn, what a great workout. Such a great workout. I'm sweating my eyes out. My soul is resolving so many things, getting really nice and loosey-goosey, and honoring Vishnu's experience as the creator of the universe, the dreamer of the universe. Next time you cry, think about it maybe as your soul sweating and working through some great stuff. No matter why you're crying, it doesn't even matter. And just let it happen. Before you grab the tissue, before you do anything, just like feel your whole body the way that you would after a great workout and see what your soul has to say about it.